record. Perfect. Okay, we're recording. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are having great weeks. Happy October. We are going to have our girl Whitney speak to us this week, and we've been chatting. She came to me and was like, hey, I would love to speak on growing your social media following, and she's been doing a great job of that over the last year and a half organically. So if you don't know Whitney, she is one of my personally sponsored coaches. She is a diamond coach. She's a leader on our team. She's awesome. She is a Success Club All-Star, which means she has hit Success Club for over 12 consecutive months now, and actually after this month she will be a Success Club 10 All-Star, which means she has hit Success Club 10 every single month since November of last year. So incredible. She knows what she's doing. She's running a badass business, and she's going to share with us, and because she is the boss bitch that she is, she's got an incredible presentation to go with everything. Sorry, language. I know there's a kid. Kelsey, my bad. So I'm just going to turn it over to Whit and let her share her knowledge with y'all. Go ahead.
Okay, let me share this again, make sure it's working. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so like Morgan said, I'm going to talk to you guys today about organically growing your Instagram following. So organically basically just means doing it without using like a third-party service. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but I just never kind of jumped on that bandwagon. So I've been doing it organically for like intentionally the last 9.5 months. So like Morgan said, I kind of came to her earlier, like a month ago, and asked if I could do this because I actually found a tracking sheet from January from, I think it was a Diamond Push group where we shared our numbers every week. And I saw that my following was like 1,368 or something. And last month I noticed that I had doubled that in like the last 9 months. And I would never have thought that I would be a person sharing on how to grow your Instagram. But I kind of realized that I have been following a method. And it's something that's repeatable. So I wanted to share it. So basically that method is mass following people. I follow 100 people a day, 5 to 6 times per week. And 100 might seem like a lot to you if you've never done this before, but it's really not hard to find 100 people. So you have to find your starting point. And the way that I do that is I go to friends of friends, people who have recently followed me, people who have liked my posts, and people who watch my stories. Out of that group of people, which is a pretty big group that you can pull from, I find one person to start with. So I pick one person out of that is someone that would be in my target market, and I go to their page. Typically, or recently, I've been doing my recent followers. So I'll go to the person that followed me the latest, go to their page and look at it, make sure that they're in my target market, and I look at their most recent post. If it's been posted recently, like within the last week or two, I will make sure I like it if I haven't liked it, and then I'll go look at the people who have liked that post. Because the chances are if that person that posted it is in my target market, the people that are liking it are also in my target market. So I go through that list of people, and I don't just hit like follow on that list. I actually click into each person, and I make sure that they're in my target market and that they're not a coach already or not clearly already doing Beachbody workouts. If I find that they are in my target market, then I think, boy, are you on the phone? Not me. So I, if that person is in my target market, I follow them. If they're a public account, then
Hey. I know. Now she does. She was supposed to be on a Beachbody call.
There we go.
Okay. I wanted to tell them like they're gonna do Reckless Love next week. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. They all love it. Yeah. We'll start playing it in the car. There you go. Sure.
I'm gonna wait.
Just wait for a second, Whitney.
Yes, Disney World. Disneyland's all the way. Cute. What is that? It's a Rice Krispie treat. And it has like chocolate stuff on it. It's awesome.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so on that page, on the person that liked the post, I go to their page, make sure they're in my target market, and I follow. If they are a public account, I like their post and I watch their stories if they have one, and then I also go and look at some of their most recent posts. And if they've tagged friends in those, I go look at the friends that they've tagged and do the same thing and follow them. So it's kind of like you step into accounts and follow them. If the initial post that you started with has a bunch of likes on it, you could get your 100 people from there. Or like I said, you can kind of go into one person, look at their most recent likes, go into the next person, look at their most recent likes. However works for you, but it's 100 people, and it actually goes really, really quickly if you do it that way. Okay, so that's the basis of what I do. And one thing, if you've watched other Instagram trainings about growing your network, you've probably heard several different strategies, from looking at hashtags, going to large accounts or large bloggers, and finding people that relate to you there that are liking and commenting on those posts. I know Morgan has even said that she finds people that talk about like The Bachelor or comment on those posts, and she connects with them through that. I did not have very good success with finding an account that worked like that for me. In the beginning of the year, I was trying to search for like wedding hashtags, engagement stuff, engagement photographers, and it worked a little bit. I found some people, but the amount of effort that I put into finding those people was not worth the return that I was getting. So for me, those large accounts did not work very well. So I like going with followers of my followers to kind of slowly expand my network. I think about it like a web. So you start with your warm market, you kind of branch out from there to their friends, which is kind of the outside of your warm market, and then you keep branching out from there and there to their followers. The other thing that I really like about following your followers is you can see this picture here. So I logged into our Coach Sneak Peek account and I went and looked at my profile. So the Coach Sneak Peek account is following Morgan and Jess, and they're also following me. So when that account comes and looks at my page, they see who else they're following is following me. And the chances are when you're expanding from followers to followers, the chances of them coming to your page and seeing that they've got some people in common with you, they might see their friends' names there on that line that says that they're also following you. I feel like that gives you a little bit of credibility, because if it's someone that you don't know, but they see that their friend is following you, there's probably a better chance that they're at least going to check out your page. So I like that about following, like slowly expanding the network like that. Okay, so that's basically the method and why I do it that way. A couple things to pay attention to. So you want to pay attention to your numbers. You don't really want your number of people that you're following to be way higher than the number of people that are following you. Now, I realize if you're a new coach or a new account or don't have, like only have a couple hundred followers, this is not something that you can keep super in check right away, but it's something to pay attention to in the future. And if you only have like a couple hundred followers right now, I would say try to keep your following number like under 1,000. That's probably a good one to shoot for. So this is something I pay attention to, and if it gets too close, I kind of go into unfollow mode versus following, which is actually what I've been doing this week to kind of get my numbers back to a better ratio. So what I do when I unfollow people is I go to my following tab on my Instagram. So you go to your profile and you click following, and it's all a list of people. You can sort that. It's naturally sorted by default, and you can click the sort button and sort it by date followed latest, which is the person that's at the top is the person who you have most recently followed. So I scroll down that list, probably like 300 to 500 people. I don't really count that. I just kind of keep scrolling until I feel like I've gone a decent amount, and then I start unfollowing that. I try to target unfollowing public accounts to start with. And the way that you can tell something is public is if you click the following button to switch to unfollow, it just lets you do it without any kind of prompt. If they're private, it gives you this prompt over here that says, if you change your mind, you'll have to request them again. I try to unfollow public accounts first, just for the reason of if they are following me and interacting with me, I will be able to see all of their content and their stories and their page if I go and decide to message them, if they are interacting with me. If they're private and I unfollow them, then I can't see that. It gets a little tedious sometimes to kind of like click through and try to find the public accounts. So when you get to a point where you're kind of done with that, you can just scroll down a little bit further and start to unfollow private accounts. But when I do that, like I've been doing that today, actually, I just pay attention to the name. And if it's a name that I don't recognize from liking my posts and watching my stories, then I unfollow them. And I scroll through the people that watch my stories like every day. So I'm pretty familiar with like a name. If I see it, it'll pop out to me that they've watched it before. So if I notice them in my following list, I don't unfollow them. But if I see a name that I've never seen watching my stories before, then I'll go ahead and unfollow them. I probably do this like every 2 to 3 weeks. And like I said, I sometimes take these days off of following new people just to kind of get my numbers back down. So that's my method, but let me just say that none of that matters unless you post good content. You have to give someone a reason to follow you when they come look at your page. Because the first thing that we all do when we get a notification from someone that they followed us is we go check out their page. And so kind of do an audit for yourself. If you got a notification and you went to the page that was your page, would you follow it? Would there be posts that you'd click into and be interested by just from the picture? If you click into them, would you be like captivated by the caption, or would you relate to it at all? See if your page lines up that way for you. And if it does, that's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. If it doesn't, then try to figure out how to make it be that way. And posting good content does not mean that it's a perfect picture or a super deep, like vulnerable caption every single time. That's not what I mean. I just mean that you take a little bit of time to set your phone up and take a picture instead of taking a selfie with your face like all in the picture, or take a minute to write out a caption that's more than like a couple words if you're really not feeling it. Post more than just sweaty selfies and talk about your life and things like that. This is not a training on how to post on Instagram because I know there's tons of those, but you do have to have good content for people to have a reason to follow you. And also the other thing that I have to remind myself of a lot is don't worry about the likes that you get and the engagement that you get on the day that you post something. I know for me, the engagement on Instagram goes up and down like every single week. It's not consistent at all. But remember that what you're posting is also for the people that are your new potential followers. So when you get a notification, or when someone gets a notification, they come check out your page, there's a very good chance they're going to click into that post and read it. They're probably not going to like it or comment on it, but they're going to read it, and that's going to give them something to connect with you about. So make sure that you're not just posting and getting it out there without taking a couple seconds to think about who you're relating to. Along those same lines, you have to share consistently, or again, none of this matters. Let me just say it, posting every day and sharing on your stories is not hard to do. There's so many of us on this team that do this every day, and so many of us that used to post more than one time a day. Like, it's not hard to find something to post. There's always something, and there's always personal development, your workout, your day-to-day life, like there's always something. But if you don't share consistently with people, you're not always going to be shown to them, because most of the time your post is not shown to all of your followers at once. So you have to keep posting so that you keep reaching more people. And you want your stories to always be at the front of your followers' list of stories. So that means you have to be adding to it consistently and frequently throughout the day. Not every post has to be amazing, but you just have to say something, and it can be as simple as a recap of your day. I know sometimes when I'm sitting down, I'm like, I have no idea what to post today. I literally just think about my day and either give a recap or find like one little nugget in there that I can talk about. And also share a mix of things in your feed and stories. Like, don't only show fitness, because people need to relate to you on a level other than working out, especially if they're not actively working out right now. They need to be able to see what your day-to-day life is like, and they can also fit fitness in because you're doing it too. So some tips on engagement. I mentioned that Instagram's engagement is all over the place, but I feel like you can do some things to help you out with this. The first thing, I heard this on a podcast and I really liked it. It's something I need to start incorporating in my daily schedule, but this is like reciprocating the likes that you get. So I know when I get on Instagram, I don't really like scroll to look at things when I'm working. I might see the first 5 and then I start looking at messages and stuff. So I don't really see a lot of things of posts to like. But with this method, you go to your most recent post and look at everyone who likes it and make sure that you've liked their most recent post. So it gives you give engagement to people that are giving engagement to you. And I feel like that boosts your stuff to get shown to those people more who are obviously already paying attention to what you're doing. The other thing is interact with stories. So when you follow someone, watch their stories. If they have a poll that you can relate to, vote on it. If they have something that you're saying that you also relate to, respond to that. Another thing with stories is, I know you probably all see like the same 5 people at the front of your stories every single day. You kind of want to mix that up so that you're seeing more people's stuff, and that means you might get shown to them more. So something I've been doing recently is I go back to that following tab of people and I sort it to the latest one where the person at the top is the person who I most recently followed. And I'll just scroll down that list and watch everyone's stories within like the first 50 people just to get some new engagement, me engaging with them that I probably wouldn't have if I was just looking at my feed. The other thing is respond to comments. So we probably don't get a ton of comments on our posts, but when we do, we need to respond to them to let people know that we see them. Do it in 4 words or more, because Instagram treats things less than 4 words as like something a bot could do, so they don't necessarily boost it because of that. But the easiest 4 words that you can say to someone is thank you so much or thank you very much for something that they say. So it's never hard to respond in 4 words. And if someone takes the time to respond in like in a sentence or 2, give that back to them. Like give them the same length of response that they commented. The last thing is comment on posts. So if you truly relate to something, tell someone about it, but don't force that. I know for me, I've heard before like, oh, you need to go follow someone, comment on their post. Like that felt super forced to me because I'm just not a person that has a lot of comments on things in general in everyday life. So it felt super forced to try to look at a picture and come up with a comment that didn't feel fake. So I don't have a number of things that I comment on a day, but if I see something I relate to, then I'm going to comment on it just to show that person that I'm paying attention to what they're doing. So the last few things, just some reminders, is be patient with this. Obviously, this is not astronomical growth in a year of followers, but just like anything else that you do in your life, if you're consistent with it, the compound effect works in your favor. Also know that followers do not equal success. You can have 10,000 followers and not hit Success Club, or you can have 100 followers and hit Success Club. Like your followers don't matter. You have everything you need right now to hit Success Club, but these methods can help you grow your network to hit Success Club in a few months from now. So remember that followers don't equal success, likes don't equal success. It's what you do once someone is following you and how you interact with them and how you share that matters. Your IG is your business, so treat it like that. It's fine to sit there and scroll if you're not like in working mode, but if you sit down to work on your business, you don't have to feel lost on Instagram. You don't have to just scroll and like try to find people. There are intentional things that you can do to move the needle and grow your following, just like the things I've shared here. And finally, start small. If you've never mass followed people, don't go do 100 on your first day. Instagram, I've mentioned, like kind of pays attention to things, or you guys may have seen where people get notifications that their accounts are kind of on lock if they do too many actions in one day. So if you've never mass followed people, don't just go do 100 at one time. Start small with maybe like 50 a day for a week, 75 a day for a week, and then 100 a day probably after that. And when you're very first starting, maybe do like 20 an hour, wait an hour, go back and do 20 more, just to kind of split that up so that it doesn't look like a fake action is taken on your account. I do this now. I do 100 or like 200 unfollows in 10 to 15 minutes. So you can work up to a point where Instagram doesn't flag you, but just know that when you're first starting out, you'll probably have to start smaller than 100 a day. So that was all I had. I know that's probably quick, but I see there's some stuff in the chat. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Do you guys have any questions? Let me see. In terms of Insta algorithms, does it hurt to unfollow a bunch at once? I don't really know. Like, I'm not an expert on algorithms. I heard someone say once, the algorithm always changes, which means there's not really an algorithm, which is kind of true. But I have heard that unfollowing doesn't have as much of an effect. Like Instagram doesn't pay as much attention to unfollows as it does for follows.
Yeah, the algorithm on Instagram is literally almost impossible to keep up with. Like right now, it's kind of being booty hole, if we're being honest. I loved, that was seriously, Whitney, like your brain always blows my mind. You are so smart. But like I didn't know you could do the whole sorting thing. I know Taylor said that too, but I don't know if anyone else was like, because I always feel so lost with unfollows. Like I'm just randomly picking people, but that's so helpful to know.
Yeah, and you can do the same thing the other way. You can sort it to earliest to the people that you followed when you first had an Instagram account, and those people might not even apply anymore, so you can unfollow them too. Do you ever worry that you follow and unfollow the same person? Yeah, I'm sure I've done it before, but what I do, I mean, they can just get over it or they can follow me, but what I do to try to prevent that is I always pick the person who followed me most recently as my starting point. If they have a good like to start with, hopefully their people are kind of new and it's not someone that I've liked or followed all of their friends before. So sometimes yes and no. Sometimes it's harder to feel like you're going to find 100 people you haven't seen before, but some days it seems really easy. So it kind of just goes up and down. And when I've gotten to a point where I feel like, oh, I can't find anybody, I go back to people like from high school or college, where would be my very warm market that I've been probably not paying as close attention to for a year now. And I go back and look at who they're following, because they might not have new coworkers or new friends or something that I'm not following. So you can kind of go back to that point, which I didn't say this earlier, but if you're a brand new coach and you have not like expanded your network intentionally, go start with people that you know, because the people that you know, the followers they have are probably going to know of you. Like most of them will know your name at least, or know someone. Like if you went to high school with them or college with them, or you were coworkers before, they're way more likely to follow you than some random person. So start there.
Yeah, that's definitely how, and I started on Facebook, you guys, not even on Instagram, but that's how I started growing my network, was friends of friends. So if you're brand new, it's definitely the way to do it. And just a tip that I picked up while Whitney was talking about doing an audit, absolutely. That's why we say you have to post on your feed. Your stories are great, but they disappear. So when someone comes to your page, just like she was saying, they're going to look, when you follow someone, they're going to look at your page. And if you don't post there consistently, they have nothing to look at. Or if it's the same picture, like if it's essentially the same selfie in different clothes, like why is someone going to follow that, you know? So you want to take up, down, full body, close up, like all these different things, something without a human in it, like a picture of something else. But a good way that you can kind of, or what I did, and I found it helpful, so maybe this would be helpful to other people, is I thought about, okay, when I go to someone's page, let's say someone follows me, or I'm doing this trying to find new people, when I go to their page, what pictures stand out? And to me, the first thing that I'm always drawn to is pictures of groups of people, friends together. So I was like, shoot, if I'm drawn to that, I never post that. So that's when I started talking way more about community, posting, even if they're older pictures, like posting pictures of us, because I'm drawn to that and that's what I like seeing. So a lot of the people that come to my page, that's what they're liking. So, but it's kind of, you know, kind of think about that. Like, what do you like about people's pages? Do you like when they post pictures of their dog? Okay, do you have a dog? Like, post more of that. Like, whatever you're drawn to, you're looking for your tribe, your people. So they're more likely to be drawn to that too, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Cool.
Yes.
Ask questions. We'll go for about 5 more minutes. I know, Whitney, that was so good and so helpful. And hopefully you guys, this is very basic. If you just have to start doing it. Like Whitney said, it's not hard stuff. But if anyone has any questions,
yeah. And I can post these slides too in our team page or something, or wherever, Morgan, in the event or something, whatever makes sense. But I also took a screen recording of like me doing like a quick few follows, like what I talked through. So you can see, you can't exactly see where I click because it's just a screen recording, but the method that I was talking about if you're more of a visual person. Cleaner. So I loved Cleaner when it worked. It does not work for me anymore. That was how I was doing my unfollows for several months, until probably like I had to come up with this unfollow method because it stopped working for me. And I was not going to risk Instagram like shutting my account down because I tried to log in with Cleaner like 20 times. So yes, I did, and I loved it when it worked, but it doesn't work anymore for me.
Yeah, Cleaner is one of the ones flagged by Instagram to get you blocked out of your Instagram right now.
Yeah,
so personally, I wouldn't
not trying to do that.
Cool. Does anyone else have questions for Whit? There we go. Yeah, Nikki, I remember we talked about that, Nikki and I did. And that's smart too, because I mean, Whitney will tell you, but a lot of times, like, as you get further into this, think ahead of what you're going to post, because it does help if you're like scrambling, especially most of you work full time, right? So if you're working out in the morning and then you're scrambling to get ready for work and you haven't thought about what you're going to post, chances are either you're not going to post, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. I can't stand when people say they don't have time to post, or you're going to post at like 10 o'clock at night. Instead of someone seeing your post all day, they're now going to see it maybe 30 minutes, hopefully, before they go to bed. So if you think on Sunday, like sit down and think about your week. There's a whole training on this. I'm not going to go into it. We've talked about it before, but think about your week. Think about what's going on. Like Nikki said, even think of a schedule. If you have certain things that you do, you know, think of what you could post each day of the week. But I promise you guys, your life is not more boring than mine.
And if you have posted it before, if it's been a month or two, post it again if you need a picture. I bought a preset from Etsy and then I changed it because I didn't like it. So yes and no. But I do use like I preset and I save like in Lightroom if I make edits to a preset or if I have like a picture. So like I have presets for the different rooms in my house. Like I work out in my basement and sometimes I take pictures in the kitchen. Those are two very different lighting. So you can like make your own preset in Lightroom and save it to be used on other pictures in the future. And so that's what I do. But yeah, Etsy, you can buy them. There's a ton of options.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
I do that same thing, and then I name them like weird things to try to remember what each of them are for. So I have one that's literally called "Works for Me," and it's the one that like is like the one that there's always like one that works with your skin tone best, and it was like from a previously edited one.
And two, if you're like brand new and you're like, what the flip is a preset? Like, really, we're just focusing on making sure that your picture is like not dark and dingy and is attractive for people to look at. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like model status or anything, but just make sure that it's a decent picture and you can lighten it up a little bit and make it more appealing to other people coming to look at your page. A lot of us who have been in the business for a while do use this just because that's just what we do, but just use like an Instagram filter or like a photo editing app to make something a little bit more appealing, because sometimes it's dark and sometimes the lighting is weird, but just make it like use something just to make it a little bit more appealing instead of like having everything so dark.
But if you are new in this business and you're not posting every day on your feed, then don't get off this call and give a flip what a preset is. Get off this call and take away that Whitney said you need to post consistently.
Yeah. And Morgan said something earlier about where you're posting at 10 p.m. If you forgot to post and it's 10 p.m., post. Like,
Sure.
Don't make that your goal every day, but freaking post. Like, it's not hard to do. Just do it.
Yeah. Consistency is the name of the game. Yeah, Darian, I literally got a preset in December of last year and I'd been coaching for over 2 years. And was pretty successful up until that point. Yeah. So you don't need a preset to be successful. You need to post to be successful. Presets help. It's just another tool in your bag to help, but I wouldn't stress about it.
It will help make your page look cohesive though if you don't already are not an expert at content for your account. Yeah. It will help your page look beautiful.
They do, definitely. Cohesive is the correct word for that. Does anyone else have questions more specifically, not about necessarily like visual, but like growing? Because I know that's what Whitney was like really on here talking about. We'll spend like 4 more minutes.
Whitney, do you write down like who follows you back, or do you just look at your list of?
I just look at my list. Earlier in the year, like when I was trying to go through like hashtags and everything, I was writing down people that I followed or that followed me back, and not worth it. It was not worth it at all. So yeah.
Cool.
So do you just write down the like number of followers that you have before you start following people?
I just count to 100 in my head.
Okay, because I know sometimes when you follow, like a lot of accounts are private, and then when you follow the account, it doesn't count as a follow until they accept it.
I don't count that.
Like, following for days, and like I don't even know if I'm at 100 or not.
Yeah, it won't. I'll follow 100 people, but it won't always reflect that number right away because of that. And those people don't all accept you. But it is good to go back and look at your followers, like I said, to kind of watch their stories. Look at the people you're following to watch their stories, because that list could be people that you've never seen their content before because they were private and they accepted you. Mm-hmm. So it's always kind of good to go back and like see if you want to like their stuff or interact with them at all. But yeah.
Whitney, how many people, can you check how many people you follow and how many people follow you? Darian?
So the ratio, Darian, I don't have a specific one. I basically just don't want my number of people I'm following to be higher. Like this week, I noticed they were just about the same. Like if I did another 100, it would put me over it. So I've been focusing on unfollowing. And so right now I'm at 2808 following or followers unfollowing. So I, over the week, unfollowed 800 people to get me back down to the starting point. And now over the next 8 days, I'll go follow 800 people again. So it's not really like a specific number. I just personally want it to be lower than the followers number.
Yeah. True. So many good nuggets. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions for Whit? Cool. Well, Whit, thanks for sharing your knowledge. You always, seriously, so much good knowledge. If anyone has any other questions, if you guys get off the call or anything, I'll post the recording. And then if you do have specific questions, maybe about this stuff, then just tag them in the recording when I get it posted, which will probably be tomorrow. And Whit can always respond to that as well. But this is important stuff, you guys. Eventually, if you haven't already, if you're new in the business, you're going to run out of more market. So, and I will tell you, I didn't start growing my Instagram actively until last spring. So I've been coaching for almost 2 years, and I can only imagine how much further along I would be if I just started doing it from the beginning. So inviting is important, doing that stuff, but just starting, just like Whit said, don't go and like follow 100 people if you're not doing anything. Just start little by little, but it's going to benefit you greatly in the long run. So cool. All right, cool. I'll stop recording, but